Okay, Level Engine here. Since I recently have been getting quite a lot of views for a channel like mine that typically doesn't get too many views, yeah, I noticed I was getting like an abnormally large amount of views on some of my older videos that date back to like 2013, 2014. More specifically, basically anything that had to do with Super Mario Ultimate just suddenly saw like a massive spike in views. And then not too long before, KTB just linked me a video that explains probably like why I suddenly got like so many views. So someone by the name of Hey Peter just recently made a video, or several videos for that matter of fact, on Mario, talking about the creepypasta ROM hack, the original famous creepypasta that some mysterious user known as Mario, who is currently like permabanned, made the ROM hack, and Adam basically just wrote the creepypasta, or in other words, his feelings, like in other words, how he experienced Mario as he played it live. Well, not like live on stream, but like as he was literally just playing it, he was just basically like writing down his thoughts of like exactly how he experienced it, like going in like at that very moment in time. And then after that, like the day after KTB just showed me a link to Hey Peter's like one of his more recent videos on how the Mario ARG has been unsolved for 13 years. He then asked me the day after if I still happen to have a copy of Mario the Super. I mean, of course I have like the ROM hack itself, but did I have like the original download from over 10 years ago? So what I told him, like, when he asked me this, is that I had to literally I'd have to go and plug in my old computer that I stopped using, like, I think 6 or 7 years ago, if not longer. So when I actually did go and plug in my old computer, like, the most recent files I saw on it, I think dated back to 2016, and some of my older files, the oldest ones, dated back to, like, 2009 or something. So, of course, before I actually plugged in that old computer, I took note of just what the folder looked like. So first things first, I had to go back to the original hack removal log for Mario the Super, made back in 2013. So obviously I want to be looking on my old computer that I stopped using about 7 years ago for a folder that looked kind of like this. Though I didn't remember like half the contents, and honestly I probably should have just written this down before actually plugging the old computer in. Because then I think I would have had even more luck just either like finding the file or just confirming that what I've been thinking all along is that I've just probably deleted the original download all those years ago. Yeah, speaking of which, a story night, this isn't just some random like creepypasta. This was also apparently something that Mario created. I know it's gonna sound confusing just saying Mario. That being the author of the original like creepypasta. Yeah, we're talking about this one right here. This one that I think I played way back in 2012. This one right here. With just the very empty levels and just the duller player character palette. Just right at the start, these subtle changes are just... It still looks and feels like a Mario game at first, but of course, there's just definitely there's definitely this factor. There's definitely a degree that just something is just a little bit off. And then, of course, the further you play, like, the more and more things you see that really suggest that there's definitely something wrong with what I'm playing here. Like, something is definitely not right. Yeah, but I was aware that he apparently made other, like, ROM hacks even more mysterious than the first one. Like, well over 10 years ago. I think in 2013 I probably just heard about, like, the third one. Not knowing it was something Mario did in the first place, not even knowing about it. And then seeing Super Mario Ultimate, I think sometime in 2014. Well, I guess I'll just leave the link in chat here to the post that Adam made. So basically, this was just his live reaction to the ROM hack in question that we're talking about, the first one. The first thing Mario made. Princess Toadstool is missing. Looks like Mario was at it again. A binary message that apparently said notepad. So from the few messages that you do get to see, they're all just... They very much resemble the messages in the vanilla game, but they are just slightly changed, and a lot of them just hint that Mario is nowhere near as innocent as you would imagine. Yeah, for example, like in the first one, there's a mention that Mario trapped Yoshi inside his egg. Now having thoughts of all possible scenarios of Mario attacking Dinosaur Land and the people inhabiting it. Or the Mushroom Kingdom even, and causing irreversible damage. And then probably like the most famous or infamous, depending on like your point of view, the most infamous message in the entire thing. Victim number 1. Eyeballs were unable to be found. The victim was found lying under carpet. Causes of death unknown. Hand marks with unidentifiable fingerprints were found all over the corpse. With quite a few messages before that point, hinting that Mario, again, is just nowhere near as innocent as you would expect from a family-friendly character. Yet this ROM hack is just making him out to be just like this deranged murderer here. And then, of course, I eventually found out that he apparently made a second ROM hack, known as Super Mario Ultimatum, ultimately. So I quickly looked back through some of my old videos, like the ones that got like all kinds of views because Hey Peter just revived some interest in the whole Mario ARG. And then when I just looked at some of these like screenshots, when I looked at some of these messages again, I just wondered if maybe I could maybe elaborate on my guesses that I made 10 years ago as to what the hell was going on. Alright, so I think I played this in 2014. I know I did like the revised... I know I did like my sequel video on Ultimatum in 2014. I'm guessing I did the first one also in 2014. So one of the messages that definitely stood out to me, like almost 10 years ago and still does now. Can't she take medication? She'll get better, won't she? Alright, so all this time ago, my guess was that Princess Peach had just fallen, like, seriously ill. My guess was that the she is referring to Princess Peach, and then if she's ill, and Yoshi's hoping that she'll get better, it would imply that she's at least still alive. But in the first ROM hack that Mario put out, if victim number 1 is Princess Peach, then Princess Peach is dead. So obviously I would just come to the conclusion that I would guess that this is a prequel, like the events that happened in Ultimatum came before the events in the first Mario. That was part of my first guess. And then here is actually where I got it sort of lost in my theory crafting for what the story behind this mysterious ARG is actually supposed to be. And once we had made it there, there was nothing but a smile, but the doll wouldn't stop, so we ditched her. I miss her so much. Looking back at this now, I have maybe like one more guess. This probably sounds really outlandish, and probably because it is. Once we had made it there, there was nothing but a smile. I guess now, probably wasn't thinking this like way back when, but I'm guessing maybe the princess had eventually just come to term with her illness. And like another thought that popped in my head is that maybe she ended up being diagnosed with dementia, which eventually just got so bad that she basically forgot everything outside of like one happy memory that she's just experiencing over and over again. Basically only smiling, her mood never changing, just reliving this one moment in time where she seems to at least be happy, I guess. To a point where Mario just sees like something that resembles more of a doll than a human being, which wouldn't stop, so he just ditched her. And still misses her. So I guess Mario just really couldn't take like the loss of his beloved Princess Peach well at all. And then here was just a bunch of messages I had extracted from Super Mario Ultimatum, well, the ones I could actually see in game, because I couldn't figure out how to open the ROM file at the time. Hello? No, please stop. I shaped a brave new world and we were the only ones within. But now there's nothing. Come home. A message box that said, I am so excited, and another that said half full. I think the half full one only showed up when you were riding a Yoshi, and I am so excited when you didn't ride one. And then it's all lies, you shouldn't listen, so what I guessed was that we were supposed to just assume the opposite of everything that came before It's All Lies was true. So I guessed that whoever said I am so excited is actually seriously depressed. And that they're looking at not a glass not half full, but half empty. And I was guessing that it was Yoshi that was just expressing these thoughts of his, and that the truth behind Yoshi's mood was it was just deteriorating rapidly, especially after just both being forced into an egg by Mario, apparently also witnessing the murder of Princess Peach. Not only did like Mario's like mood just spiral downhill, Yoshi's did as well, just watching basically everything he thought he knew was real just fall apart right in front of him. And then this was a prank. I still don't think I figured out like the context behind this exactly. And then there was I made a cake, but not for Mario. I don't know who else in the Mushroom Kingdom or the Mario universe would really bake cakes. I'd probably just assume that's Princess Peach that tends to bake cakes, but not for Mario. So I guess is that where the homicidal rage for Mario just kicked in? Or was there maybe just, or was this maybe part of Princess Peach's happy memory where maybe she knew somebody else before Mario was just basically reliving, I don't know, a happy memory with somebody else for all we know. And then one that I obviously like couldn't like comment that much further on because that date simply hadn't happened yet at the time I recorded the videos. Transmission begins at 3/25/2014. Nothing too impactful happened on that date. But the closest thing that I could think of that would be somewhat related to the Mario ARG that happened on, or close to 3/25/2014 actually, because it actually happened the day before. So yes, the original person behind Mario was named Mario. Name is written like this. On March 24th, 2014, Luigi, also like all capital letters and just spaces in between the letters, Luigi joined S&W Central, whose name looks of course very similar to Mario's. You can definitely see the similarity between these two names and like how they're formatted. So what Luigi did on the day he arrived, and then he was never seen again, what he did was submit a ROM hack that didn't work and then went inactive. This was like all 9 years ago. Yeah. That's kind of what I did too, to be honest, at first. I submitted a ROM hack that got rejected, and then I went inactive. Except, like, everything that happened after that point was... Except, like, I have my own story after that point. It didn't just stay inactive for 9 years. So what did change now? Somebody came out with an explanation, or somebody found something out? Apparently, yeah, that's what happened. Apparently, the Mario ARG that had gone unsolved for about almost 13 years has finally been solved. So I'm gonna probably just I'm gonna react to it live. Hey Peter had apparently somehow solved this whole ARG that's been unsolved for like over a decade.
So good to be back. Well, I never went anywhere, but nobody watched my last upload, so I had to work extra hard so I could afford
the alien cloning what? The alien cloning religion that infiltrated hip-hop and politics?
Last upload, so I had to work extra hard.
Do I react to that one too? Later.
All jokes aside, I'm really blown away by the phenomenal response to the first part of this Mario ARG I've concocted. What started as me rambling about the spiraling rabbit hole of what started out as a strange Mario ROM hack has led me down a mysterious
Strange is an
path
understatement.
involving countless hidden messages, ancient forum posts, and so many interconnecting mysteries that made my head spin. And the response was anything...
Ah, Kieran. Yeah, that's Kieran. I recognize that. My Little Pony avatar.
beyond my wildest dreams.
Okay, I think apparently Kieran reverse image searched that.
Share, and subscribe because of this video, as well
Apparently
as
Kieran reverse image searched that right there. Okay, I meant like that
information to my
creepy
attention.
face that came
I know
with
it's cliche,
as a download with the first Mario.
I've been made well aware
That was,
of
like,
how overly
encrypted,
long my
so you had to
previous
decrypt it
intro
first.
was, so I'll spare you the time and jump right into things. If you watch this
Yeah,
video in its
that
entirety,
face right here
I
below my
promise you will understand
cursor.
just about everything that the Mario ARG has to offer.
That came with the first
including
ROM hack
its
of his.
conclusion.
Encrypted though, so you had to
Yes, you heard
decrypt
that
it
right, dear
to view
viewers.
it.
This alternate reality game has indeed been solved, or concluded, depending on how you choose to view it. In this not so
Depending
short
on how you
amount of
choose to
time,
view
I
it.
have found so many new
Let's see.
information and on the topic that I feel truly honored to talk about it. And you're not likely to find a lot of this info anywhere else on the internet. What I have in my possession are some exclusive files that will finally be made public to a wide audience. Rejoice if this is your first time
I swear,
seeing
if
them.
he found,
How did I obtain such
I swear, if he found the original download to Mario the Super exactly as it was,
information? Well, I'll explain
something I
this in a
failed to
moment.
keep,
But there are some
I'll be
pressing
impressed.
topics I must cover first. I must take a few steps back and reanalyze my previous video. Due to a lot of the new information coming to light, I must announce that I got some things wrong. Not a lot, but I must clear up some details to correctly
I probably did
summarize
too, to be
the
honest.
events of
It's
this
okay.
ARG. If you aren't interested in that segment, there will be a time code on screen you may skip to for me to start covering the new information. Naturally, if you have not seen the first video, I highly recommend you pause this video and watch it beforehand. I will have it linked in the description to make things as comfortable as possible
Oh my
for you
goodness.
to view.
6 levels are very long.
If you're still watching or have just returned from the first part, hello! I have finally found the true origins of this face. The face that was hidden inside of a scrambled notepad document. Turns out, I may not have
6 levels
realized
are
the
very
true
long.
weight of the former SMW central owner saying that he had found the image
Yeah, he was the
online.
former owner, Kira
Turns
Minor.
out, the Ice Cream Monkey video I had shown as the potential origin is a complete hoax. There was no original uploader by that name, and this video is actually part of another ARG called Chainmail Chasers, created by Ebola Granola on Twitter. This
Ebola
ARG
Granola?
focuses on the iconic, unexplained
Rest in peace,
images
Seneca,
found in
though.
old creepypastas, tries to give them chilling, fictitious explanations. It completely pulled the wool over my eyes with how well it was able to emulate the late 2000s feel of those YouTube uploads, so hats off to you, Granola. Go check out their channel for other similar videos on topics like Smile Dog and Slenderman if this interests you. Now that we know that Ice Cream Monkey is a hoax, where did the original image come from? Well, recall when I mentioned allegations of the image being somehow tied into band promotion. As it turns out, that was the true explanation. I've recently been linked to a specific thread on X, 4chan's paranormal board, and found
X?
a thread where the creator of the image,
Elon's gonna sue!
Davis,
They've taken his name,
called
Elon's gonna
Common
sue.
Man Down. In this thread, he explains that he simply found a photograph of a woman in makeup and fried the image to hell and back to make this. I'll link the archived thread down below.
Okay, so the
I
woman
find
never
it
got murdered or
entertaining.
anything.
I was so close
Good to
to the
hear.
truth, but dismissed it. I highly recommend you check out Midnight Crick's breakdown on the topic. He goes into fantastic
Victim number
detail
one's
on the whole
image.
situation. Secondly, I've missed out on a huge part of the story of the very first Mario game. One that can only be uncovered by using lunar magic, primary tool for ROM hacking Mario World. Opening up the ROM in lunar magic, we can find a message that isn't obtainable through a regular playthrough. At the current hour, there is no known treatment for the disease. The best we can do is provide drugs to ease the pain.
There was definitely like mention of medication in Super Mario Ultimatum, which that I saw, so I guess this doesn't come as too much of a surprise if there's mention of a disease and drugs to ease the pain.
Viewers of
Okay,
the
maybe it
previous
can't be
video will
dementia
recall
because
that
it's not like physical pain, it's just like the loss of your memory until there's nothing left.
messages about this strange disease are mentioned in the
Whether it be like, I don't know, your friends, your family, Oh, God forbid, like yourself even.
Okay,
You don't even know who you are eventually.
There are a few more strange messages and binary codes I'll leave for you.
Alright, so throw out my
as well.
dementia theory.
Lunar magic is free to use, so I recommend you sort through the ROM yourself and see what you can find. Thirdly, there was something I knew about previously, but chose not to include because, honestly, I wasn't fully sure what to do with it. But now that I've found out what the code hidden inside the audio file hello.mp3 fully entails, I will play the reversed audio once more.
G1DX?
Following the link leads to a YouTube channel by the same name. Its only upload is called period.wmv.
How do they transcribe that
I'll play
so
part
well?
of the video now. Seasoned code crackers, the audio should sound familiar. What's playing
Morse
is
code?
Morse code. I've had the code deciphered for me. It reads as follows. Were you looking for something in particular? You will have to look in a place
20% cooler?
What that means is up to interpretation.
20% cooler. So, like, what? Would that be the inside of a meat locker or something?
The video footage playing appears to be
20% cooler. A
Liquid
refrigerator?
Chris? Of Chris Chan infamy? Alright then. Now that we've cleared out some of the major misconceptions and hidden details, I'd
Victim
like to
number one, were they, like, stuffed in a meat locker? Was their body just stored in a refrigerator of sorts?
finally start covering the new content.
Okay, now that's just
public.
opening even more
Of course,
doors.
I always promote people doing their own research and coming to their own conclusions rather than blindly following mine. So I'll be putting just about every file into a link of some sort in order to spread the word. Inside, you will find several images, audio files, and other files for your own investigative purposes. The link to a website with these IPS files will also be included. Don't say I don't do anything for you guys.
Oh, so
I
the
must
second one.
preface this investigation by saying I wouldn't be able to do this on my own. In my comments section, I was contacted by KTB, a longtime
Me too,
user and
recently.
staff member of SMW Central, who reached out to me with loads of critical information. It was on his notice that I discovered the true origins of the Mario image, the other missing files, and everything you are about to see. This video simply would not be possible without his input and guidance, so I ask that you show your support and appreciation by sending him some love and thanking him for his tremendous actions. He has
No word of a lie. This guy was interested in solving this ARG, like, since, I think, at least 2014, if not even earlier.
also done his own stream on the multiple Mario sequels on his own time.
He apparently
So
started
check
trying to
those
solve
out.
this, like, at least 9
Yes,
years ago, if not
I
10.
did say multiple sequels. There are several. But first, what about Mario Cave? Remember Mario Cave? The sequel I covered that would not open in my emulator no matter how many times I tried?
And not open?
Well, I now have my hands on a working copy. Let's cover that. Something unique about this game is that most of it is unedited, or at least not edited significantly enough for me to cover it by a play-by-play level. Once you get to a certain
Yoshi's
point,
Island
it's
2.
only the text boxes that have anything of note. What's critical is the very first
I have
level,
this.
Yoshi's Island 1. Mario must traverse through an altered land in order to find the secret warp pipe to lead to the pipe maze.
So yeah, like, at least this first level here, the one that's actually changed. It looks like, at first, it could be, like, it could pass for like a
which
normal
lead to
Mario
the secret
game
exit to finish the level.
with that
You'll
message
find
too.
plenty of pipes, but none of them
Few
lead to an
enemies,
exit,
also.
no matter how hard you try.
This looks like it could just
All
pass for a
that's
normal
left to
game
do after you hit the
until
mid-exit point is to throw yourself off a cliff and try again.
yeah, until you throw yourself
When
off
you
a cliff
re-enter the
and have no
level, you'll
choice
notice that the
to
starting
do
point
so.
is the other side of the missing gap you previously couldn't reach.
And
Here's
then
our secret exit. Welcome to the Pipe Cave Maze. Inside, you'll find countless pipes that take you all around a nigh-featureless void that leads to more pipes. Take the right combination and find ourselves in a gloomy level with simple 2D shapes as our objects and coins. Clever traversal and reading out a message or two spelled from blocks will lead us to a secret pipe entrance to our final stop.
I don't know
Key
if I saw
switch
this one.
encircled by blocks that
Oh.
Mini Mario cannot destroy. We must progress to the right, where we can find a message spelled out in blocks, which
I saw
may
this.
be familiar. I shaped a brave new world, and we were the only ones within, but now there is nothing. Come home. We finally know the origin of one of the phrases I covered in part 1. In a familiar ending, the final part of the screen has yet another secret pipe, which leads us to a game crash. Recall how I said that most of the game wasn't critically changed. If we head to the next level, we can pick up a mushroom and redo the maze section, this time at proper size. Using the P switch to unlock the door, we find nothing. Game crashes again. I'm sorry to disappoint, but this is all a small playthrough really brings for me here to discuss. But our investigation of the ROM does not end entirely here. Why don't we open this game up in Lunar Magic? In the message text box section, we can find several of the quotes from the original ultimatum thread that we read in the previous video, as well as a few new ones. 12A-2 is a pretty interesting one. It was only a prank. Prank? Hold on to that message. It'll be important for later. Circling back to the main story.
You're gonna go right past
What do we have
transmission
now?
of 2014,
Well,
March
it's still hard
25th.
to say. We have been introduced to a new plotline. Something about the kind of potentially incurable disease. Symptoms and the ultimate fate of people who catch the disease are left mysterious. The talk of a brave new world and leaving behind some kind of doll behind might hint at some kind of greater societal change or movement, though I'm unsure if it's large or small scale. Suffice to say, the Mushroom Kingdom has seen better days. I still can't really make head or tails of what's going on.
Well, I got
so
that
think I
far
might have
with
to
my
reveal a bit of
theory.
my hand
Well, my
early.
guess is I got that far. The Mario universe saw better days. That's about as far as I got.
Do you recall the forum post by the creator, Mario, saying that the ROM was fixed? Well, he did more than just fix it. He replaced the ROM entirely. Mario Cave / Ultimatum was the second version, and I have the first version in my possession. What was once overwritten, but now archived, is called Madness. I think I'll let the footage speak for itself.
And the name? Home Sweet Ho. Okay, now this one I don't even think I've ever seen this one. I don't recognize this one though. Okay, now this is news to me. This is something I never even heard of. I knew Ultimatum was a thing. This one I never heard of, though.
I'm getting a little tired of repeating myself, but I still don't entirely understand what's happening. This strange Mario sprite trekking through the void could be the depiction of Mario's journey into the cave detailed earlier, with the text box leading to his untimely fate. Or it would, if it displayed anything. Let's check Lunar Magic. The boss sequence text is where we can find our victim number 2 mentioned in the previous thread, as well as some kind of
it is real.
hexadecimal or something of the sort code that translates to Home Sweet Home. Is this home the Brave New World? Why was this ROM replaced by the cave hack? Some
Because
what
the
I
cave
believe
hack
to be
was a little bit
critical
better
details
overall.
have been wiped away.
From a
Like the
technicality.
second whole victim description. Victim descriptions. What if... Follow me with this one.
Mario
What if
was
the
trying to
victims
cover his
weren't
tracks.
the result of a murder spree? Follow me with this one. What if the victims weren't the result of a murder spree, but rather as a kind of effect of the virus? It may seem far-fetched, but unless we start putting some pieces together, this puzzle isn't going to have any connected pieces at all. We need to start somewhere. Again, the mystery of why this ROM was replaced baffles me, but perhaps we can find the answer in yet another game, because I have one more to share. And this one is a real
Mario
exclusive.
the Super.
This ROM was not posted anywhere on the official forums, but rather the IRC chat of SMW Central. KTB happened to save it when Mario posted it and has graciously forwarded to me. Let's see what this one's about.
Okay, maybe I never saw this one. If it was only posted on IRC and I maybe went there like
Mario,
once or
as the
twice
ROM hack is
in
titled,
my
is another
existence.
cave-based hack, but
Oh,
with
wait.
less to explore. Only
Never
one
mind.
level is accessible, and there isn't much to do aside from running into a bullet bill at the end. A lot of the same info from Mario Cave is presented here.
Never
But
mind.
what does that really provide in terms
I
of
recognize
new
that
information?
first screen.
Well, seeing it was posted to the IRC and not made publicly available, it might not have been the intention. or
Not made
entirely
publicly
possible,
available.
because Mario, the user on SMW Central, got banned. I'll explain
Welcome
more
to
in
the
a
club,
bit, but keep
Mario!
in mind,
Welcome to the
You'll
club.
notice that the account is listed as banned, hence why no return was made, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the story. An account re-register was made in 2013 by the same core user, and one more final hack was submitted. So, if you're keeping track,
Okay, I just want to like quickly look at the screenshots from this ROM hack submission here because, yeah, when I did play this, when I did go play Mario the Super, I basically saw that exact same first screen that just KTB saw. Okay, can I find my playthrough of Mario the Super real quick? Just in case you want to see what I'm talking about here. YouTube. In case you want to see what I'm talking about, because as soon as I saw that overworld map, I definitely thought I recognized this as quote-unquote Mario the Super. Because that was the name of the ROM hack submission that I ended up downloading, not knowing it was one of those... Not
Why am I
knowing
still
at all it
trying
was part of
this?
that ARG.
Can't we?
Not at all knowing it was related to some of the other, like, ROM hacks. Oh, let's play The Sims 4.
And what's the level? Empty.
And the
Can't go
overall,
anywhere
yeah,
else, we're just
empty.
gonna go in the level.
Yep. You saw that, right? Yeah, you definitely just saw that, right?
different team by the same core user, and one more final hack was submitted. So, if you're keeping
It
track,
was submitted, and
we have
I
a
snagged
total of
it before
5
it was
different
removed.
ROM hacks, which is honestly surprising. I thought there was only one before I started writing the script for the first video, and
Thought there was
surprised to
one.
know there was an official sequel. This
I
final
knew
hack
I
is
knew of
called
3.
Mario the Super. Let's take a look.
I was aware of 3.
Luigi? Maybe. The text still says Mario, but the color scheme points the opposite. All this time I've spent theorizing about the overarching story, I never even considered what part Luigi has to play in all this. Booting up the game, we find a massively expanded version of the previous ROM hack. We're dropped into a similar yet different version of the cave, with an expanded timer and much more to explore. The pipe maze is just as confusing as ever, though. You already know what software to pull up. Seems like the overworld itself has a secret for us.
Time?
The boss sequence has some interesting ones. Ludwig
Okay, I
von
don't think I ever
Koopa's
checked
days
that.
of decomposing. Not entirely surprised he died, to be honest. I hear your song no more. The message boxes usually just repeat the word time. But there are a couple new ones.
Like that Action 52
Even
game.
in death,
Time
I
warp
am
tickers.
not yours. And amazing. Few have made it this far.
Time?
Time? We know that Mario does like to monitor what people say about his uploads, given that he made intentional changes to the ROM file afterwards. And seeing as the new registration was definitely him, the level names are quite interesting as well. So that's all the game's covered, I promise. No more hidden ROMs exist to play through, as far as I know. But we don't seem to be any closer to figuring out what's going on. Things are still incredibly vague, perhaps too vague. So, we've hit the same wall, just harder. Now, what did we do when we were stuck in the previous installment? We investigated his user profile, but we've already seen everything he has to offer.
Yeah, so that's probably why I never got too far.
I do have access to some...
I found like 3 of these, but I couldn't sort of determine a pattern here with any of them.
Files that were mentioned in previous forum posts, but had since been deleted for unknown reasons.
Yeah, basically everything was just
Again,
a wild mass guess.
Credit to KTB. Let's go through the images first.
Images. File invest. Okay. If he somehow found the...
He has an insane number of pictures of Rainbow Dash present. The significant...
Wait, what?
He
What?
Foremost, he has an insane number of pictures of Rainbow Dash present. The significance of this is something I'll hold on to for now, but it is kind of funny considering the reference to the 20% cooler meme of the early 2010s. It's easy to forget, but when this ARG was really heating up in the early 2010s was also when the rise of MLP and bronies were, by extension, was a contentious topic. Some images taken from Ted the Caver, perhaps the first creepypasta,
is this guy dead?
new life with their file names. Burning Man and especially Victim Number 2. Number 2. I recall that he was found in an apartment starved, but this was inside a cave. Perhaps the parallels in the cave are meant to represent the isolation and starvation of his treatment.
I hope I can show all these on YouTube. Okay, I think we're fine still for now. I don't know, I see what looks like an inverted pentagram, just vaguely though. That looks like something out of Backrooms. Friend.jpg. So, House MD. He found the original folder, didn't he?
Audio files with hidden images inside of them called spectrograms.
He found it.
I will be playing each audio track and revealing the images inside sequentially.
The folder that I failed to keep. He found it. Yup, it's been found. So this is... How is this solved? I'm honestly more confused than I was before watching this video. I've literally gone into this now having even more questions than before. I don't know how this is solved. At least not yet. Okay, there's still 14 minutes of video to go, so... The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, as some understand. What did the rest of that say? What does the rest of this even say? As some understand, slowness, patient, is a patient... I can't even read that last set of words.
What these all look like to me are victims, not dissimilar to the edited red image that made the story so iconic. Names like Mario, Luigi don't bring up a lot of interpretation, but there is one that really catches my eye. Catherine. Who is Catherine? There aren't many named characters, and not a lot of people who can be described the name. Was she victim number 1? Is she the doll mentioned to be thrown away? Perhaps a victim of this mysterious illness mentioned several times. Horror.wave is interesting with the quote from the second book of Peter in the Bible. What can this imply? That God is somehow behind all of this? The other two files, musical and 02202004.wave, are Morse code files. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of Half Endy Demon, Lesby Oswald, and others, I've been able to find their true messages. Musical translates to... I think it's backwards, just give me a moment.
She's gone, blood.
There we are. Read backwards says, "Yes, too late for her. She's gone, blood." 02202004 says, "Hello? Yvette? Are you there? I have something to X out, something very important. It is to do about Catherine. I am worried about her." That's what's
Okay, now,
approximated from the Morse code, at least.
Who are these people? Yvette? Catherine? Who are they?
There are some weird spelling errors present, and we aren't entirely sure if that was intended by the creator or how we translated them, so take it with a light grain of salt. Well, did I call it or what? Sounds like Catherine is indeed a victim of this virus. The first audio file reads like a jumbled sentence from a doctor or surgeon just learning that they've lost their patient. The second introduces two other characters, an unnamed narrator and Yvette, who are engaged in a conversation, likely a phone call or text message about the status of Catherine. So, if she is indeed a victim of the disease, should we assume that's how she looks in the spectrogram in the end result for anyone contracting the disease? That certainly adds a new layer of complexity to the scrambled red image from the first game, but it also makes me scratch my chin about the status of Mario and Luigi. If they both receive their own spectrogram images, what can we surmise about this disease, other than its mortality rate or that it might have potentially biblical origins? I propose that this disease offers a particularly nasty symptom: mutation. Look at all the victims of this disease. Look at how red and mutated they've become. Mario isn't even slightly recognizable from his classic self. However, one contracts the disease, it distorts the flesh until you look like poor Luigi, a pile of bones and blood. And about how you contract the disease. Notice how Mario, and potentially Luigi, is spotted inside cave structures. Caves play quite a big role, being featured in several of the games.
Why did I never think that the caves had something to do with this?
Being pictured inside of a cave.
Since
Now,
two of the three ROM hacks
what if this is
pretty
some
much
kind
almost
of disease
entirely took place
contracted
in
inside
caves?
or similarly dark, dank, and isolated areas? It could be the result of some kind of creature
Time?
or bacteria inside, or a representation of the isolation and the human mind made flesh. But there is a connection between these. Victim number 2 died on the way to the hospital, but we can clearly see him inside of a cave. He was described as being found in an abandoned apartment before death, which appeared run down.
So he died on way to the hospital, but was in the cave.
So symbolically sound with the cave theming. What if Mario was framed? We hear endlessly about the reign of terror Mario seemed to have inflicted, but we don't see any of it. Was he somehow blamed for this virus, which had already begun without his action? Perhaps the grief of the situation drove him into the cave only for him to contract the same disease, either out of misery or self-inflicted. Poor Luigi, if that is Luigi, seemed to try and find his brother, only to end up similarly lost inside the cave with the same illness. It's a very somber tale that leaves a wake of bloody destruction, an incurable fatal disease that mutates the body until you can no longer identify your loved ones before death. How deliciously cruel. That's all the files I have available to me. And are we really any closer to figuring out what's going on? Well, let me summarize everything once more to try and understand the story that's being told here, through all the pictures and games and audio files present. Starting off with the original hack, we can see that the Mushroom Kingdom is in disarray. Mario seems to be inflicting a ton of terror on the people, or at least the people believe him to be responsible for it. Victim number 1 is described in a murder scene after you beat Iggy's castle. Mario gets stuck in a cave while being taunted with messages berating him, and the game crashes. Cue to the scrambled red face. And multiple other games reinforce this aspect of Mario but add an extra narrative. There seems to be a kind of sickness that turns people inside out, affecting people inside and outside of the Mushroom Kingdom. The narrative does become a little confusing if everything does take place inside the Mushroom Kingdom, with the images being references to what's happening inside, or if there's some kind of connection between our reality and Mario's. The status of other Mario characters hangs in the balance. While the virus is going, there seems to be ongoing murder investigations, where potentially these murders could be the early stages of said virus, and Mario is the main culprit. Either Mario has been committing these acts while the virus is spreading, or he was falsely accused. Either way, he gets lost in a maze of caves and pipes, which likely leads to his untimely death. Luigi goes into the same cave to look for his brother and ends up with the same fate. Several images and audio files point us in different directions, from YouTube videos to cryptically scrambled images. More people are being affected by this virus, but we don't have a full explanation. My theory is that it's a representation of the effects of isolation on human brains and bodies because each victim was alone and inside a cave or similarly isolated and desolate environments when they contracted it.
I don't know, and it just would affect people differently because people like because people are inherently like they have their differences from one another, so they'll experience it differently too.
And that seems to be where we're left off. Mario, the creator and main account posting all this, has been banned and inactive ever since. Despite a message
11
in one of the
years.
games saying there would be an upcoming transmission in 2014, which seems to have never come. Now, I want everyone to brace themselves for this. It might be a lot to take in. Do you recall when I said I had no more files to share? Well, I might have lied, because I have one more, an image file. Rather than explaining it, I think I'll let you ponder the image on your own.
Life at Mario's, the comic. Oh my, a whole month without any uploads from me. I've got to make some of that creepy stuff the kids like nowadays. Hide a meaning behind it, enhance. Kick back and watch them go solve it so I can go to the next one. Shouldn't take too long. This one's easy as pie. The miracle never happens.
Have you finished?
Doing it because apparently, like, it's successful. He's getting a lot of fame and notoriety for doing it. Oh yeah, speaking of, like, all the fame and notoriety and success behind the original Mario creepypasta, the original, like, the first part of the ARG, obviously there have been, like, several, like, copycats / imitators just attempting to capture some of the same success that Mario has experienced.
This may or may not shock you, but Mario, the poster, might not be a mastermind ARG creator, but rather a dedicated troll. Let me explain. I've
Or
said
a
that his
troll,
account was
okay.
banned, but why was it banned? Was it for the level submissions breaking the terms of service of SMW Central?
I don't
Well,
think that alone
those
can get you
Rainbow
banned.
Dash and Gmod pony pictures suddenly make a lot more sense, sort of, if you view them as a way to make fun of bronies, that is. If you like to mess with bronies, so what? His trolling doesn't end there. Recall when I dug through his messages on the banned account in the previous video. He seemed to break character to patch his games, so he really wanted people to play them and discuss them. Or discuss them on his terms, that is. Because a few of the messages indicate he would get upset with people if they weren't able to figure out the ciphers. I'm looking at all this from an outsider perspective of events that happened almost 15 years ago, so I'm strongly relying on KTB's testimonies, which I have no reason to doubt. If you need absolute definitive proof that it was a troll effort than a goal to create an ARG, the creator himself reached out to me in the last video in the comments section. I will be reading his comment in full. Hello. I made this ROM hack in question. The ARG is unfinished because I was 14 and when I was making it up along. Why the hack exists. SMWC used to hold annual level design contests that you made a single Mario World level and submitted it to be rated. I participated and my level was rated like 2 out of 10, which pissed me off.
And then the rest
So
was
one
history,
evening when I
right?
was bored, I purposely made a
Then the
bad
rest is
cryptic
history.
ROM hack because I thought it would be funny to see people's reactions to it. I didn't expect anyone to actually pay close attention to it. I thought people would just play it then forget about it. As for the ARG, it was really just made up on the fly. A collage of random scary stuff. I'm not sure where I was going with it, but I think I just wanted to keep the spookiness going. If I recall correctly, the plot I was going for was that SMW was being used as a medium to tell a spooky story unrelated to Mario. Think Petscop, but again, it was just that I made up on the spot as a teenager. It had no real rhyme or reason. It's just there to be spooky.
That's why it was so hard to solve.
As I was 14 at the time,
Yes.
it's poorly made. It just contains references to the stuff I happened to be into as a teenager. Homestuck, House MD, Yume Nikki, etc.
Ah, yes.
It is a
Yume
little
Nikki.
embarrassing to see it again after almost 15 years after the fact, but what can you do? Eventually, I stopped trying to make it unsettling and just uploaded whatever random GIFs I had made at the spare time. It ends with the middle of nowhere because I stopped caring at some point. It didn't occur to me that the victim one blurb
So
had
he wasn't
anything
trying to
do with
make
the
like a
image.
whole complex
It was pure
story, it was just for the
I
reactions.
simply lifted it from this video's description because I found it
Apparently
funny.
so.
He then links to a video called Victim 1, uploaded in 2010, which a description that reads, Body retrieved 07-11-88. Corpse missing skin, eyes.
Oh god.
Hand-shaped marks seared into flesh on upper arms. Cause of death unknown. The description obviously being the inspiration for the original. This
Melon.
video was proof enough to KTB that Rotten Egg 2000 is indeed our creator, because KTB had previously had conversations with the creator who linked the same video in the past. Without me really needing to explain it, I think this is definitive enough proof. We have a clear explanation why things seem to end dead in their tracks, because the creators simply got bored of the project and decided
wasn't trying to even make it like a full, like, fledged story even? It wasn't trying
move
to?
on. That's why no uploads or any activity went past 2013. What does that mean for the ARG? Was it totally pointless to cover something that had already been, quote, solved over a decade ago by the people in the original forums? No, not entirely. The intended ARG aspects, like the creator says, were made up on the spot, but they were intentionally crafted to get people asking questions. Even if the story wasn't charted out, or even if there's no story at all, there's still something to be said about the entire experience. If you were there back in the forums...
Yeah, because you had people like me just sort of like guessing what the story that didn't even exist was. Yeah, you basically had people like me we basically like ended up making up the story in our heads.
or
There
if
was
you're
no
a fan of the
story,
latest
except for the one we
creepypasta
made up in
written
our
about it,
heads.
If you've watched other analysis videos on YouTube, or finding out for the first time through my video, it's an experience that connects everyone for almost 15 years through a series of photographs and ROM hacks that stand entirely on its own in a lovely, unique way. It's cliche to say that the destination doesn't compare to the journey, but there aren't many experiences that I can say match the description than this one we went on together solving the Mario ARG. Well, I can't really say I solved it per se. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to say it's solved if the mystery was left intentionally vague for people to discuss without a clear goal in mind. And if the original people on the SMW Central forums already knew of the outcome of the situation. I'm only a messenger, really. What I do hope is that this information becomes more public, both through me providing all the files in the link below, but also in the general minds of creepypasta and lost media enthusiasts. My aim with this video was not to claim that I had uniquely solved it entirely on my own, because that simply isn't true. Without help from people like KTB and some of my loyal viewers, I never would have progressed enough to make a second part at all. Again, I must humbly thank everyone who helped me, everyone who watched, and especially the creator himself. I don't know what you're up to these days, but I'm overjoyed that you can look positively on the whole experience you've crafted over a decade ago, and the impact it had and continues to have on players and researchers alike. It's been an amazing journey, and I'm a little sad to see it go, because connecting with people and uncovering new details and theorizing about what kind of story was being told was amazing. I feel truly humbled and honored by the whole experience, but if there's anything I want people to understand from me, is that I don't plan on stopping soon. The second after, or even before, I'm already working on a new video. Take this as my official, last moment endorsement to like my videos, subscribe and share them, do whatever you feel you must do, because I'll be sticking around. My creative and tenacious flames are continually fanned each time I upload, and I have you to thank for it. What is my next video, you ask? Well...
I have no idea what this is.
See you there, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Oh yeah, and then there's like there's like one of the earlier videos they made on the ARG, but I think I've basically seen like all I was hoping to see at this point. So the confirmation that there never was like a story to find in that tangled mess of ROM hacks that Mario made over like a couple of years. Yeah, there was never like a story to like just put together. It was just like all this random stuff that he just came up with on the fly. Just basically to get people's reactions. So whatever like story there was, it was basically just us making wild random guesses with I don't know, like I think the interpretations like between like myself, Peter, and say KTB, I think they're all gonna just be different in one way or another because of how we as unique individuals just see all those ROM hacks. So I never like saw a possibility that Princess Peach would have come down with dementia back in like say 2013 or 2014. Yeah, I think in like 2020 I heard about the caretakers everywhere at the end of time, and thus got to like more or less understand better like what dementia was, and thus why that guess would suddenly pop into my head in 2023 but not like in 2014. I mean, when you just started crying while looking at a photo of a painting, the back of a painting with some blue tape taped to the back. Like, yeah, let's just say, like, I never would have seen myself, like, just imagine I'd start crying while looking at the back of a painting with some tape on it, but everywhere at the end of time, we just was able to do that. So, of course, like, I'm just, like, not gonna forget that album, and thus not gonna forget about dementia, and just, that's gonna pop into my head, like, when I see like Ultimatum again after like all these years. I'm like, what if the princess had dementia? And then there was like a message that I never saw, that I didn't even remember, that mentioned the drugs that are supposed to ease the pain. Like, dementia typically doesn't come with physical pain, I don't think. It's just like you're just losing your memories. And then there was like the whole tangent about the virus that was just basically mutating people's flesh, turning them inside out. That would definitely convey some physical pain right there. Even more reinforced by the fact of what some of the spectrograms looked like. Yeah, that right there does not look like a normal person anymore. You basically vaguely sort of see like the face and what looks like the remains of somebody's bones here. Yeah, dementia doesn't do that to you. You basically just lose all sense of who you are. You don't end up disfigured like that. So that's my dementia theory just thrown out the window. Then again, like, these were spectrograms I'd literally never seen before. So yeah, obviously, like, before even just starting up the live stream, I had to just put the channel in the description, and I guess I'll just also put the video in the description as well. Yeah, so I was absolutely, like, not expecting this to ever get solved. And I think what basically just sort of like quote unquote solved everything was the fact that the original creator just admitted there was like no like full like there was no like comprehensive story behind any of that. It was just like random stuff he came up with on the fly that I guess at least between like a few of the ROM hacks there were just like a few like things that were like related to one another. Yeah, so when it came to like a few of the ROM hacks, such as I think the second one, the third one, Ultimatum and Mario the Super, like they both took place in this cave, so I guess yeah, that's obviously where Hey Peter just started to like think about what the fact that those ROM hacks taking place in a cave could mean. If two of the ROM hacks both share the similarity that they're taking place in a cave. And even Mario, like the first one, appearing to take place in a very similar empty void-like cave. At least for the last level, like right before the game crashes. Yeah, basically, like, just about every ROM hack he pumped out just featured, like, these black backgrounds with the cement block spam, the quote-unquote caves. So obviously those had, like, some sort of huge, like, implication as to like a story that those had some huge implications to like what the story might be that wasn't actually real. Oh, you basically just missed like the whole stream pretty much while playing Rough. So I assume you know about this ROM hack, right? Mario, the famous creepypasta. This one with the victim number 1 once you beat Iggy. There was like a whole like series of random guesses to like what the story behind this ROM hack and a few of the other ones this same person made. There was a series of like wild random guesses from multiple people, myself included, as to what the overlying story that connects all of these ROM hacks could possibly be. It was eventually just confirmed that, by the creator himself, mind you, that there was in fact like no like story. Yeah, so Mario made the ROM hacks, why the hack exists, participated in a level design contest, placed really low, it pissed me off, and then went on to make history by making cryptic ROM hacks that make like basically next to no sense just for the people's reactions, and then just kept on doing it when people were legitimately interested in a shitty ROM hack. I mean, technically, because the levels are bland, empty, and it just ends on a game crash. All things you should not do in your ROM hack, but obviously at this point, you're not really supposed to really look at it like it's a shitty ROM hack because the levels are empty, bland, pointless, and the game crashes. It's something more like deep than that at that point. Or so we thought. Dude was basically just BSing his way through the story, as you said. Just whatever like random shit like came up in his head, he felt like putting that in his ROM hacks, and I don't know if there were any similarities between one ROM hack and the next that he made. I guess it was just pure coincidence. And if we saw any similarities, we were like, okay, what if maybe we're onto something for the underlying story behind Mario, the ARG? You know, all this time ago, I guess, that Ultimatum was the prequel to the first Mario. There was the mention of someone needing medication to get better. Mention of a doll being ditched. And then all the other, like, random messages where I just assumed that... Well, the first ROM hack definitely gave up the hint that Mario was just up to no good, hinting that he potentially killed victim number 1. I mean, it wasn't directly said, like, who did it, but there was a lot of hinting, such as Mario trapped Yoshi in an egg, Mario was at it again, that being Princess Toadstool's disappearance. And then here, I basically just made some wild random guesses that Yoshi was just severely depressed because of the events that had transpired, both involving him getting trapped in an egg by Mario and being a witness of the murder of, apparently, Princess Peach. That's who I guess the victim number 1 was, but maybe that's somebody known as Catherine, who I didn't even know existed until now. This was a prank. Oh, so this is just like the message that I like completely ignored, and well, apparently like this was the solution to like the ARG. Basically, this was just the explanation to like what was going on. This was all just a joke, and we basically like quite a few of us just fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, just trying to put pieces together that weren't necessarily even made to be like put together. So long story short, apparently it was a prank. We fell for it. Tried to just make like some sort of cohesive story out of a clear mess. I mean, overall, we still had fun I still had fun trying to put a story together, so I'm definitely not mad. I mean, I'm definitely not mad about the whole this is a prank. I mean, at least I got my fun out of it. KTB also got some fun out of it too. Also got like a lot further than me at solving this. So yeah. There's definitely not nothing, though. There was a lot of stuff. There was definitely not nothing, and I guess I'll just leave it at that at this point. And then, yeah, there was the whole transmission bit. But I explained earlier in the live stream, like, what happened around that date. It was nothing too impactful, though, really. Just somebody, like, submitting a ROM hack that just didn't even work. Which obviously got rejected because it needs to run. Alright, so thanks for dropping by and watching. I guess I'll see you maybe tomorrow with something else, I guess.